Okay, so this Memorial Day, I wanted to share a history that is similar to that of so many families after World War II, but is oftentimes overlooked. It is the story of a war that didn't end with the Victory in Europe Day. By the end of World War II, several hundred temporary burial grounds had been established by the US Army on battlefields around the world, and the cemetery at Hamm, where I am now, near the city of Luxembourg, was one of them. Established 29 December 1944, it accommodated almost 8,500 graves early 1945. Most of the men buried here served in a unit belonging to 3rd Army. In 1947, 14 sites in foreign countries were selected to become permanent burial sites by the Secretary of the Army and the American Battle Monuments Commission. After the war, many families wanted their loved ones buried in the United States. So between 1947 and 1954, the Army's Graves Registration Service oversaw the repatriation of 172,000 American dead worldwide. From March 1948, the Hamm Cemetery was closed to all visitors. About 5,000 remains were repatriated to the United States, and when a temporary cemetery near Longwy, Belgium was closed, a number of remains were reburied at Hamm, bringing the total number of graves to 5,076. The newly developed cemetery was inaugurated and opened to the public on 4 July 1960. And one of the men buried here is Robert A. Novak. And Novak was a member of one of the rifle platoons in Company G, 302nd Infantry. But this is not his story. It's the story of another man who was found buried in the same field grave Novak was in. This is the story of Private First Class Francis Woodrow Bresler. Now, Bresler was born 7 November 1916 in Bridgeburg, Fairfield County, Connecticut. He enlisted in the Army on 17 January 1944 in New Haven, Connecticut. His enlistment papers note that he was employed as a manager, he was married to Messay Faye Bresler, and the young parents had their son, their firstborn, David L. Bresler. But his father would never see his son grow old, as he himself was killed in action 6 March 1945 at age 28 on a road in a tiny 3-house hamlet called Kümmlerhof, Germany. In June 1945, a report is being filed of 2 field graves near Kümmlerhof. One grave has 7 unidentified Americans, the other 11 unidentified Germans. A German civilian states that men were buried in the latter part of March, and that a set of dog tags with the name of Francis W. Bresler and an address book with the same name were picked up 10 yards away from one of the bodies. A sketch details the location of the graves. An investigation starts. Of these 7 men, 4 were identified. 2 were identified some time later, but the remains of X249, as they are referred to, are unidentified. And X249 was buried at Hamm, plot GG, row 2, grave 30. As the investigation continues, it becomes clear that all 6 were members of Company G, 302nd Infantry, who were probably killed in action during the fighting for the Kümmlerhof, 6 March 1945. Burial allegedly took place early April 1945, and the grave was marked with a simple wooden cross. The remains of X249 were in bad shape. Arms, legs, and a part of the head was missing. This makes identification extremely difficult. And meanwhile, the War Department concluded that there was enough evidence to change Bresler's status from missing in action to killed in action. And they did that 23rd November 1945. There's a report of death dated 3 December 1945, but there is still no definitive link between Bresler and the remains of X-249. The matter of identification becomes pressing as the War Department steps up its effort to disestablish all temporary cemeteries and permanently inter the remains in accordance with the directions of the next of kin. By May 1947, it is believed that Bresler is one of the 3 unknowns found in the field grave. And these 3 unknowns were numbered X-249, X-250, and X-251. It will take until March 1949 to definitively identify the remains of X-249 as Bresler's, and the evidence remains circumstantial. On 6 June 1949, Miss Manzi Bresler receives a letter asking her what she wants to do with the remains of her late husband. She is officially the first in line to receive the remains. She relinquished her rights, and Bresler's parents can decide on the matter. This was the war after the war. This was the part fought in living rooms and in the hearts of the waiting. A burden borne not just by those who served, but by those who were left behind to carry on, with scars no one could see.